2019 arrest, now back in the spotlight, following the death of former FBI Director Robert Mueller, who, as special counsel, released the Mueller report, which detailed the Russia hoax, which allegedly claimed interference in the 2016 presidential election. President Trump reacting to Mueller's death with this controversial post. Robert Mueller just died. Good, I'm glad he's dead. He can no longer hurt innocent people. All right, let's bring in the man at the center of that now infamous raid, who's got a lot to say. Roger Stone, former Trump campaign advisor and a longtime Trump political advisor. Sir, how do you feel?
Well, first of all, I feel vindicated because 18 months after I was convicted, a lawsuit by BuzzFeed forced the Department of Justice to disgorge the full, unredacted Mueller report. And on page 168, Mueller admits that he found no evidence of Russian collusion, WikiLeaks collaboration, or any other crime on my part. The judge withheld that information from my defense attorneys at trial because it would have made their entire case collapse. Robert Mueller was at the centerpiece of the greatest single abuse of government power and the greatest single political dirty trick in American political history. His entire investigation was based on two pieces of completely fabricated evidence: the so-called Steele dossier, a fraud paid for by Hillary Clinton, and the false claim that the Democrat National Committee had been hacked by Russian intelligence. At my trial, I wanted to produce forensic evidence and expert testimony, which I could have proved definitively there was never any hack of the DNC, but of course, the judge would not allow that. So after they got into all of my electronic communications by telling two different federal judges they had evidence against me of treason, conspiracy against the United States, money laundering, counterfeiting, wire fraud, mail fraud. They found no evidence of any of those things. They fabricated this claim that I lied to Congress about Russian collusion that we now know definitively never actually happened. What was this all about? It's really simple. They were pressuring me to testify falsely against Donald Trump. Wow. They spent $30 million investigating Russian collusion, came up empty-handed, so they wanted me to lie on their behalf, and frankly, I simply refused.
The deep state is alive and well, and congrats to you for being able to withstand that. I mean, you were sentenced to 40 months behind bars. If not for the president commuting your sentence, God only knows what would have happened. And President Trump recently retruthed a picture of your most recent visit to Mar-a-Lago. The president's still doing very well with the MAGA base. Even CNN pointing out that the numbers don't lie. Take a listen to this, sir.
You don't have to be a mathematical genius to know you can't go higher than 100%. He is the 1972 Miami Dolphins.
100%. But there is kind of a division a little bit in the party, or people trying to cause a division. Tucker Carlson, Joe Kent, Marjorie Taylor Greene, they're defying the president. What do you think about what's going on in MAGA world, sir?
I think it is a giant mistake to look at social media and think it reflects the real world, because it doesn't. Among voters, among the American voters, Donald Trump is rock solid in his base. Jimmy Carter was challenged by Ted Kennedy because he was slipping in his base. Gerald Ford was challenged by Ronald Reagan because he was slipping in his base. There is no slippage by Donald Trump. In fact, Trump voters beyond Republicans fully, strongly support this president. That's why the panicans who are ready to throw in the towel on the 2026 election don't understand how volatile this election is and don't understand how rock solid the president's base is.
What is the goal, you think, of Joe Kent, of the Candace Owens and MTG? What is the point in all of this? What do you think?
Well, first of all, I've made a pointed effort to stay out of all of that because to me, it has no point. I don't know whether Joe Kent was just a clout chasing or grandstanding. What I resented was the false claim that Tulsi Gabbard was next out the door, when that was completely and totally untrue. Tulsi Gabbard had the courage to follow the president's directive to completely declassify all the documents, so we now know that the Russian collusion hoax was exactly that, a seditious conspiracy to remove Donald Trump. And she never gave any consideration to resigning over the president's decision. As she pointed out before the Senate, her job is to present the evidence and the intelligence. She did that. It's the president who made this decision. And this isn't neoconism. There are no boots on the ground. There are no 10,000s of American casualties. There are no billions in new defense contracts for Halliburton or General Dynamics or any other defense contractors. This is Donald Trump very wisely using very limited, very focused, but very lethal American power to protect America.
Definitely not Bush 2.0. Definitely not another Iraq or Afghanistan, according to you. Roger Stone, sir, thank you so much for joining.